everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Saturday, it is Eric Larsen Day. Hope you're having a great weekend. We are looking at the next issue in his Savage Dragon run, and we already looked at the miniseries. Last episode we looked at Savage Dragon versus Megaton Man. The next Savage Dragon thing to come out was basically what's called, I guess, the regular series. So it started over with issue 1. So you have the miniseries and then the regular series, which continues to this day. If I'm not mistaken, Eric Larsen is somewhere around issue 275 and is on his way to hitting 300 and you know, breaking all sorts of records. So good on him. Today we're gonna kind of take a look at where that series started, which is Savage Dragon #1 of the regular series. This cover here, very cool. Was very happy to see this on the stands. Didn't know necessarily that the next issue would be a #1, so it was kind of a surprise. And obviously, one of the aspects of this cover that was kind of perplexing to me was the addition of the mustache here. On this cover, as a kid, I wasn't quite sure if that was a mustache or just weird shading. So eventually I figured it out from reading the issue. Obviously, the Savage Dragon all of a sudden had the Fu Manchu, I guess. Fu Manchu, is that what it's called? That kind of mustache? The handlebar mustache, I guess. The Hulk Hogan, maybe. Whatever you want to call it. I realized throughout the issue, this cover, like I said, just I figured out later that that was not shading and was actually his mustache. So maybe a bit of bristle here would have helped Larsen, but I don't want to critique too much because I think he's a great artist, very visceral, and I love his style. So enough about the cover, let's have a look inside. So starting off really crazy right off the bat, lots of victims on the ground, lots of blood. This character is the shrew, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like a rat-like character. Just Eric Larsen just has tons of characters and tons of great designs. You know, some of them are kind of derivative of Marvel and DC characters, but some of them just come out of left field too. So, you know, the shrew, there's a character in Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt. I forget what he was called, but he's also a rat-like character. So there's somewhat of a similarity there. But, you know, what are you going to do when you're creating a rat man? You know, there's not much room for that much variance, I guess. So they're all going to resemble each other a little bit. But cool opening shot right away. We kind of know what's going on. I like the use of the Savage Dragon's shadow here to create that, you know, positive, negative kind of thing. All black over here helps them highlight the blood, obviously. Let's look at the credits before I forget. So creator, writer, penciler, inkers, Eric Larsen. Letterer, Chris Eliopoulos, I think. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Colorist, Steve Oliff, Ruben Rude, and Zan Mika. And there you go. So we've got some pretty cool image coloring on these issues. And this first issue of the Savage Dragon has also is the first issue with glossy paper, which, again, in this case, I think it works pretty well, but you get that full-on black, which is, you know, just a little odd to me when you're not used to it. And I still do prefer kind of that higher quality newsprint that early 90s Marvel comics were using. I think that's still my favorite. But I mean, this looks, you do get a bit more clarity with the glossy paper. I get that. But I do find like Eric Larsen's art is a little kind of scratchier and grittier as far as the inking goes on this issue, and maybe subsequent issues as well, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I like that, but I think maybe the newsprint just softens that up a bit, maybe helps it a little bit. Not quite as grungy, I guess is how I'd put it. And this is not me critiquing. I definitely like Eric Larsen's inking style and bold kind of brush strokes that he throws in there. So yeah, some cool, like I said, early 90s, you know, Image Comics action, you know, big guns shooting at this guy here. You know, everyone's somewhat invulnerable, so there's lots of cutting and blood and stuff, right? Just this little detail here. This was drawn probably pretty quickly, but the fact that there's just those red ends of the fingers I always thought was cool as a kid. So here he's kind of slashed the Savage Dragon in the eyes, so, you know, the continuity of storytelling continues. He's holding his eyes. I think that's a nice touch there. And we get a shot of Dragon back at the office. I feel like definitely there's some sort of Sin City influence in this image and that look on Dragon, right? I think he purposely here threw in a lot of shading on the face to mimic that Sin City Frank Miller style and have you know, that style of band-aid on his face, which again was popularized by Frank Miller with Marv on that first Sin City series. So, you know, a bit of that vibe there. I think that's cool. You know, I don't think he's trying to hide it with an image like this. So here we get a bit of a recap. I have to think this is repurposed art from the miniseries. Most of it, maybe not all of it. I think this is a new panel, but this panel definitely from the miniseries. This one here, right? And basically giving us all the backstory we would need to know if we haven't read the miniseries. So I'm not going to go through it, as we've got reviews of that whole miniseries you can check out if you're interested in that. The overall posture of the dragon, the shading on his face, right? You know something kind of bad happened, right? And it's going to be talked about here a little bit later. It's mentioned, basically, I'll just go through it now. It's mentioned that his girlfriend was killed. And at the time when I bought this issue, I was like, what? I'm not quite sure, you know, when that happened and whatever. And later on, we found out that basically Larsen had created a story that would happen kind of between the miniseries and the first issue of the regular series. And that was to be in the Image Comics 0 issue that all the Image original creators were working on together, kind of as an anthology, and each was doing their different story or part that was going to be thrown in there. And it was incredibly late. So Larsen, you know, had the book maybe come out when it was supposed to on schedule. You know, the timing would have been right, but he had to keep moving on with the regular series. And eventually he republished it in some of the trades and in other ways, so you would have access and can throw that in there. And eventually I did get the Image Comics 0 issue, so I do have that story. So yeah, off he goes to the bar, drown his sorrows, and you know, because you're the dragon, you've constantly got guys trying to test you here. And this was kind of a clever way, because he's kind of bothering him because he's a dragon, he's not breathing fire. So clever way to have him actually breathe fire onto this jerk off here with the lighter and the booze here. I don't know if that actually works with like 40% alcohol. Like most of the stuff that you would have in a flask like this would be like vodka or whiskey or whatever. But I guess if you can, you know, flambe a banana with a bit of cognac or whiskey, I guess you could do that. Getting some of those manga lines in there, right? Makes everything move faster. I always thought this was cool. I always like these two panels in sequence, just like the 1-2 kind of feel of it. I mean, he does a couple here, but like this one, I just like this guy here, and I don't know. There's just something I really like about the 1-2 punch, no pun intended, of these two panels here. Moe's Tavern, that's funny, right? Simpsons reference. I think this character here flying out of the window here is really well done. Some good glass, some good breakage. The classic Larsen does this a lot, where the character's face gets kind of flattened, or you only see part of it, which is a good way to draw this kind of action, right? Someone's face getting slammed into something. I always, as a kid, I don't know, I always thought this was maybe a reference to that lady in Daredevil, the bar that Daredevil frequents. You know, I don't know if that's what that is, but, and yeah, I will mention that as of now, we've seen throughout the issue that the Fu Manchu, Hulk Hogan kind of handlebar mustache that Dragon is sporting there. We got some B and C stories, you know, so this would be one of them. Right away, this kind of family that's, you know, I guess committed suicide, right? And then mom, someone in the basement kind of calling up to them. It's kind of creepy for sure. Weird detail here, but the way Larsen quickly kind of details a bit of long grass here, and the way he does trees again, which is kind of like a weird circle and just a bunch of branches inside. It's a very kind of strange way graphically to do, but somehow it works, and I think it looks really good. And just kudos even for these clouds here. I think he did really well. Good filler details, I think. Trees, clouds. So we've got his partner. I think I've talked about this before, who's I think is, you know, a bit of inspiration, kind of like RoboCop. He's got his, you know, female partner in that movie. So there's a bit of that dynamic between these two characters here. Here he is at the grave of his girlfriend, and she's crying about it. She's obviously his girlfriend's mother, blaming the dragon for it, right? So that's where we understood what had happened, but we hadn't seen it happen. So I was a little bit not confused, but just, oh, okay, odd way of presenting that idea. Now knowing, as I explained a bit earlier, what happened, you know, the blanks have been filled in by that story now, and it makes a lot more sense. Another cool kind of almost Sin City shot here. Just his choice of, you know, clothes on the clothesline that he probably drew really quickly in silhouette and stuff, but it just totally works. Another guy who's really good at drawing kind of, you know, city backgrounds and stuff to evoke a big city, in this case Chicago, right? That's where the Savage Dragon is. And okay, so Savage Dragon is like, let's not mess around. True, this time I'm here with some chainsaws, so we got some Chainsaw Massacre action kind of going on here. Listen, the cuffs are off, right? There's no leash on Larsen at Image Comics, so I mean, he's doing the kind of stuff I guess that he always kind of wanted to do at Marvel and DC, but couldn't, right? Because of the comics code and stuff. I think, you know, that a lot of the appeal of the Image stuff, at least the early stuff, like, you know, like Savage Dragon and Spawn, was stuff like this, right? The fact that they were going, it was the 90s and it was edgy, right? And extreme and stuff. So, you know, our heroes, Wolverine was popular, you know, for a lot for that reason as well, I think, in the 90s, right? Wolverine would fit in well in this kind of context, right? And this is kind of, you know, replace the chainsaws with Wolverine and his claws. That's kind of what we would like to see in Marvel. Lots of blood spatter, gory stuff, but, you know, we really can't. Unless, you know, today they got some of their mature lines and stuff, but, you know, they still don't go that far, I think. Larsen, just throughout the whole Savage Dragon series, for good or bad, or whether you like it or not, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, is, you know, his politics, whatever, he always pushes it and does some pretty crazy, interesting stuff. Whether, like I said, I agree with it or not. As far as the violence goes, I mean, I can go really far, so, you know, I enjoyed all this as a kid, and I still enjoy it too here. Art-wise, like on technique and stuff and what he's doing here, color's doing a lot of the work here, obviously, but there's stuff like on this page here, the way he uses black ink and splatter and stuff, even though there's still some red thrown in there here and there, but the silhouette here with the splatter here, I think works really well and super effective. All the splatter here just makes it very kind of gross and bloody, right? And he just goes all the way here. Stats these, or maybe he redrew them. I think he may have done a bit of both, like statted and redraw it a bit, you know. So as the panels advance, it gets, you know, you get the same movement of him punching, gets bloodier and kind of grosser and splatterier, and to its ultimate conclusion here, where we just got like, oh my god, you know, I'm not even sure what's going on down here, right? The way he obscures some stuff here, like, it leads you to think that, you know, the Shrew's body is just completely obliterated down here. But, you know, going over here, you're like, okay, maybe not to that point, but, I mean, it gets pretty hardcore here. So the dragon's obviously gone a little bit over the edge there, and maybe shouldn't have gone that far. Yeah, so more of the shot of the dragon with his handlebar mustache, which thankfully he did lose at some point. You know, I don't know if I hate it, but not necessarily like what I think of as the iconic Savage Dragon look. And pretty quickly right off the bat, Larsen introduces some new characters. We see them in shadow here. You know, kind of a gratuitous pinup shot, I would say there. But then at the turn page, you get the double page splash. So I guess he's applying, you know, the Kirby. It's almost like this is maybe, is it possible that, you know, maybe issue 1 ended on this page, you know, and issue 2 started on this page, because it's got that Eric Larsen rhythm of splash page, double splash page, unless he decided to try and use it in the middle of an issue. But yeah, there's something I wonder about here. I'll count the number of pages. Maybe that'll help us, push us in the right direction. I'm wondering if I may have, you know, discovered something here. So yeah, so the character of Ricochet and Barbaric are introduced here. Of course, prerequisite, even though they're both good guys, they got to fight because there's a misunderstanding. As usual, that good old Marvel trope, more of a Marvel trope than a DC trope, I would say, at least until, you know, DC revamped with Crisis on Infinite Earths and really just kind of Marvelized the DC line a little bit. At least that's how I put it. I think this right here is cool. Great use of the vertical panel, right? Of the fact that, you know, her name's Ricochet, so she obviously ricochets off stuff. And here, using the Savage Dragon's head is really cool. And again, the use of that vertical panel, I always thought this panel was very clever. This boink is kind of hilarious. And yeah, I mean, mostly what we're getting is a 2-3 panel page slugfest, similar to maybe what happened with Bedrock in the miniseries. So maybe a little early to bring that back again, you know, Savage Dragon fighting a big guy, but, you know, I guess he's had the practice, so it's an easy few pages to get through. So eventually they figure it out. Ricochet jumps in between, gets them to stop fighting, and basically kind of asks the Savage Dragon for a job if they can help out on the police force. That's basically what's going on here. Great use of the vertical panel once again. We got a couple here. Good stuff. And that's the end of the issue. So, as I was mentioning before, before I do what the page count. Has anyone ever seen this anywhere? It's coming. It should have came out September '93. Project Metaforce. Your heart is pounding. Sweat covers your brow. The transformation is complete. You'll never be human again. Imagine This Productions presents Project Metaforce. Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't hate the art. It looks interesting. I've never seen this comic. I don't know if it ever came out. So if anyone has any information about it, please let me know in the comments. So page count. Let me just figure this out real quick, and then we'll wrap up this review. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21... Okay, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So, okay, 29 pages. I didn't mention this in the last reviews of the miniseries, but okay, so this issue has 29 pages. If you go back, issue 3 of the miniseries has 27, 28 pages. Issue 2 also has somewhere around the 26, 27, 28 kind of range of pages. So giving credit to Erik Larsen, because at that time he was really giving us more than our money's worth, as his issues were the same price as every other kind of Image comics, but those other Image comics were giving us kind of the standard 20 to 22 pages. Erik Larsen was giving us 27, 28, 29 pages in these early issues. So you know what? Kudos to Larsen for doing that, giving us some more bang for a buck. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. That was the review of the Savage Dragon #1 of the regular series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments below. I love to find out little tidbits when I ask questions, or if you know little insider information on this issue, please let me know. Thank you for watching. To everyone who's already subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really helps out the channel. I've talked about this before earlier in the video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have a great day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KINGCOMICS.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.